Hello. Today, we're going to take a look at TrueSight Operations Management and how to work with applications. Let's get started. In this particular case, I've logged into TrueSight Operations Management with an administrative credential. You can see this is a relatively new installation for me in a lab environment. I don't even have a dashboard set up yet. But we are going to take a look at creating an application, in this particular case, a static application. If I open up some of the navigation area, you'll notice that I do have many of the things set up. I do have devices that I am monitoring in my environment. I have several servers in my lab environment set up. I do not have the application visibility components for TrueSight set up yet. So you notice in my menus here, I do not have any way of doing synthetic scripts or any of the application visibility components yet. But we can still set up our application. With the application visibility components, also remember that in addition to synthetic scripts, there's automated application discovery capabilities that are there, but we won't be working with that today. Today we're going to be creating a static application model. So all we have to do to get started is click on the Applications link under the Configuration menu. And you can see it takes us to the Application Management screen. I don't have any applications set up at this point. So let's go ahead and get started with creating a manual one. And if you hit the ellipsis next to Application Management, we can simply hit Create Application. We get a nice dialog box with the seed of our model at the top. We want to give our application a name. Let's call this Master Application. And this will be TrueSight Application Components. The type is manual. That can't be changed because we are manually creating this model. We're going to leave synthetic off for right now because we don't have any synthetic scripts loaded to include in our application model right now. We can always add this at a later time. I'm going to leave the other things default. We can leave the importance medium, and we're also going to leave the status computation model alone. This is a good point to mention that the official documentation for TrueSight is outstanding, and there's a great deal of information about the best practices related to creating applications. Things like importance, things like status computation models, design, what to include, what not to include. Really in-depth best practice information is available. I strongly encourage you to review that documentation and learn as much as possible about modeling applications correctly. Well, as you can see, we've given it a name, and that's reflected in our model here. At this point, we have a choice. We can add individual devices, or we can add groups of devices that we've already created. I do have some device groups that I've created, but in this particular case, I'd like to add individual devices. So I'm going to select the Configure Devices link, and I'm going to add my two TrueSight servers that come up on a list. If you had a very large list of servers, maybe hundreds or even thousands of endpoints, you could use search criteria here with various syntax to narrow that search down. For example, if you knew there were certain characters or letters in the name of a particular server you were looking for, you can expedite that search process. So let's go ahead and include these two servers. So now you can see we do have a very basic model. We have the master application, which would essentially be at the top, and we have two servers supporting that. Let's connect them. By clicking on master application, I can scroll down a little bit, and you can see that I can enable status propagation. There's different things that you can do here, but I do want to indicate that I want both of these components to be dependent. So I'm going to check those there and hit done. And now our model is immediately updated, and you can see that it represents that both my TS10 presentation server and my TS10 infrastructure server are supporting or feeding into my master application. That's a very basic, simple overview of how to get started with creating static applications. There's a great deal more detail that could be included. I highly recommend looking at the documentation and learn more about the best practices. Thank you for watching.